Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are stepping into the twilight zone of cinema to explore a concept that will make you question everything you've ever watched. Have you ever finished a movie and felt like something was off, like the hero's best friend was a little too perfect? Or the mentor appeared exactly when things were at their worst? We aren't just talking about Fight Club style twists today. Trauma, or a projection of the protagonist's fractured psyche. These theories don't just add a layer of mystery, they completely rewrite the emotional core of the stories. We'll look at how these imaginary people serve as catalysts for growth, survival, or total mental collapse. So, if you're ready to have your favorite movies ruined in the best way possible, stay tuned. We're about to look at the people who were never really there. The theory that old man Marley from the holiday classic, Home Alone, is actually a figment of Kevin McCallister's imagination. Completely changes the movie from a slapstick comedy into a psychological journey about a child's battle with fear. Think about how Marley is introduced. He's a terrifying myth, a South Bend shovel slayer that Kevin's brother uses to scare him, effectively planting a seed of dread in the boy's subconscious. Throughout the first half of the film, Marley only appears during moments of Kevin's peak isolation or when his anxiety is reaching a breaking point. He is a silent, ominous figure who seems to haunt the periphery of Kevin's new, lonely reality. The core of this theory is that Marley represents Kevin's own personified fear of the unknown and his guilt over his family's disappearance. When Kevin eventually finds the courage to speak to Marley in the church, it isn't just a conversation between a boy and a neighbor. It's Kevin confronting his own internal demons. Notice how Marley's wounds, bandage on his hands, seem to heal as Kevin becomes more confident and capable of defending his home. Marley provides the wisdom Kevin needs to hear, telling him that he needs to face his fears and reconnect with his family, which is exactly the realization Kevin needs to survive the night. When Marley finally saves Kevin from the wet bandits at the end of the film, it's a symbolic representation of Kevin's newfound maturity and strength, literally striking down his enemies. Even the final shot of Marley waving to Kevin as his family returns can be seen as Kevin's subconscious retiring, the guardian he created once his real support system is back. Imagining Marley, Kevin gave himself a mentor to guide him through the most terrifying night of his life, turning a scary neighbor into a necessary hero of his own mind's creation. The theory that Ferris Bueller is actually a figment of Cameron Fry's imagination transforms this beloved 80s comedy into a dark and profound study of clinical depression and a desperate mental breakdown. Under this lens, Cameron is the true protagonist of the story, a boy so paralyzed by fear, illness, and his overbearing, cold father that he is trapped in his bed, unable to function. Ferris is not a real person but a psychological projection of everything Cameron wishes he could be: confident, charismatic, popular, and utterly fearless. If you watch the movie with this in mind, the logic begins to shift perfectly into place. Notice how Ferris seems to have godlike powers, manipulating everyone from the school principal to the entire city of Chicago, while Cameron remains the only character who constantly questions the reality and the danger of their actions. The entire day off is actually a fever dream or a dissociative episode happening inside Cameron's mind while he is staring at the ceiling in his bedroom. Every adventure they have, the fancy lunch, the baseball game, the massive parade where Ferris sings to thousands, is a manifestation of Cameron's repressed desire for freedom and joy. The car, the precious Ferrari that belongs to Cameron's father, is the ultimate symbol of the emotional cage he lives in. When the car eventually crashes and is destroyed, it represents Cameron finally shattering his father's control and killing the Ferrix persona because he no longer needs him. By the end of the film, Cameron stands up for himself and accepts the consequences of the day, signaling that he has finally integrated Ferris's confidence into his own broken psyche. Ferris disappears into the sunset not as a friend going home, but as an imaginary mentor who has successfully guided a trapped soul toward liberation. This theory explains why the world feels so surreal and why everything goes so perfectly for Ferris. It's because it's a dream of a boy who just needed one perfect day to find the courage to disappear once the light of a new dawn arrives, or manifesting as a nightmare they can no longer wake up from. The theory that the entire mission to Mars and Douglas Quaid's transformation keeps Teddy grounded in his detective persona. Whenever Teddy gets too close to remembering the trauma of his wife and children, Chuck is there to redirect his focus back to the conspiracy. Chuck represents the part of Teddy's brain that is desperately trying to hold the fiction together. The tragedy reaches its peak when Teddy finally realizes that his partner was never a federal marshal, but a doctor. At that moment, Chuck ceases to be a friend and becomes a mirror, reflecting the monster Teddy has been hiding from. When Teddy finally chooses to undergo a lobotomy at the end, he isn't doing it because he's still crazy. He's doing it because his partner showed him a reality he can no longer live with. He chooses to die as a good man by erasing his memory, rather than live as a monster with the knowledge of what he has done. These 8 films prove that cinema is not just a window into other worlds, but a mirror reflecting the complexities of our own minds. The characters we've discussed, whether they are guardians like Old Man Marley, legends like Max, or dark shadows like Richard Parker, remind us that the human psyche is capable of incredible things when faced with fear, loneliness, or trauma. We create people out of thin air to teach us, protect us, or take the blame for our darkest impulses. These theories don't take away from the stories. They enrich them, showing us that the most powerful special effect in movie history is the human imagination. It makes us wonder about our own lives. Who are the people in our memories? That might just be versions of ourselves we needed at the time. Movies teach us that the truth is often less important than the story we need to believe to keep moving forward. Thank you for exploring these psychological mysteries with me. The next time you watch a movie and a character seems a little too perfect or appears at just the right time, ask yourself, are they really there? Or is the protagonist just talking to themselves? Stay curious, keep questioning the screen, and I'll see you in the next one.